You're at the grocery store, Wednesday afternoon. Nothing special. You're standing in the checkout line and there's this moment. You're looking at your cart and doing math in your head. Not dramatic math, just quiet, automatic math. Wondering if you should put something back. Wondering if this is going to push you closer to the edge this week. And here's the thing. You make $75,000 a year. You're supposed to be comfortable. You're supposed to be middle class. That's what every article, every financial calculator, every career website told you when you were figuring out what salary to ask for. $75K. Solid. You're fine. But you don't feel fine. You feel like you're one car repair away from a problem, like you're treading water instead of swimming anywhere. And you can't figure out why, because by every metric you were taught to care about, you're doing well. My name's Peter, and if you've ever made decent money and still felt financially squeezed and wanted to actually understand why that happens instead of just feeling bad about it, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Because what's happening to the middle class right now is something most people sense but can't quite name.
So let's name it. $75,000 a year. Let's actually look at that number. Not the headline number, the real one. After federal income tax, state tax, and FICA, you're taking home somewhere around $54,000 to $57,000 a year, depending on where you live. That's roughly $4,500 a month. Okay, that still sounds workable. Rent. You're making $75,000, so you're probably in a decent-sized city, because that's where the $75,000 jobs tend to be. A one-bedroom in a mid-tier city like Austin, Denver, Nashville, Portland, Raleigh, you're paying $1,700 a month. That's just where those markets are right now. That's $20,400 a year. Just rent. Just a roof. You're at $2,800 a month. Car payment. You need a car to get to the job that pays you $75,000. Let's say $420 a month, because you bought something reliable and sensible. Nothing flashy. That's $5,040 a year. You're at $2,380. Car insurance. $175 a month. $2,100 a year. Down to $2,205. Student loans. You went to college to get the job that pays $75,000. That's $350 a month, $4,200 a year. You're at $1,855. Health insurance. Even with employer coverage, your portion is about $180 a month. That's $2,160 a year, down to $1,675. Phone and internet. $160 a month. You're at $1,515. Groceries. Not Whole Foods, not fancy, just normal groceries for one person, cooking at home most nights. $380 a month. You're at $1,135. Gas. $130 a month. You're at $1,005. And we haven't touched utilities. Electric, gas, water, that's another $110. We haven't talked about toiletries or household supplies. $55. We haven't mentioned the subscription services you forgot about. $90. We haven't factored in clothing, laundry, the random things that come up every single month without fail. You're under $750, maybe closer to $600. That's what's left on $75,000 a year in 2024 for going out, for savings, for anything unexpected, for any version of a life that doesn't feel like just paying bills and going to work. And this is the part that nobody's really talking about, honestly. $75,000 used to mean something different. 20 years ago, $75,000 was genuinely comfortable. You could rent a nice apartment, drive a decent car, save money, take vacations, build something. The math worked. It doesn't work the same way anymore. Most people think the solution is obvious. Make more money, get promoted, job hop, negotiate, get that $90,000, that $100,000. Earn your way to the comfortable life that $75,000 was supposed to give you. That's not how it works. That's the trap. Here's what actually happens when you get a significant raise. Let's say you're earning $75,000 and you negotiate hard and land a job paying $95,000. That's a $20,000 raise. Real money. That should fix everything. After taxes, you're seeing about $14,000 more per year. That's $1,167 a month extra hitting your account. And then something completely predictable happens. You move, because you're making $95,000 now, and your current apartment feels like where you lived when you were making $75,000. So you upgrade, maybe $400 more a month. Better neighborhood, nicer building, in-unit laundry, you deserve it. Your car was already kind of old when you were making $75,000. Now it's definitely time to upgrade. Nothing crazy, just something newer, more reliable. That's $200 more a month. You start eating out more because you're busier and you can afford it. $150 more a month. You upgrade a few subscriptions. You shop at better stores. You travel a little more because you've earned it. 8 months later, that $1,167 extra per month, gone. Every dollar of it. You're making $20,000 more a year, and you are in the exact same financial position. Same margin, same stress, same quiet math in grocery checkout lines. Just bigger numbers. This is called lifestyle inflation, and it's not a character flaw, it's completely normal human behavior, but it is the mechanism that keeps you stuck. Here's the psychology behind why this keeps happening and why it's so hard to escape. Your brain doesn't experience wealth as an absolute number. It experiences wealth as relative to what you're used to. There's a term for this, social comparison. And it's not just about keeping up with other people. It's about keeping up with your own past expectations. When you were making $55,000, you imagined that $75,000 would feel like finally having space. And for a few weeks after the raise, it did. Then you adapted. The new income became your baseline. The new apartment became just where you live. The better car became just your car. And now $75,000 feels the same as $55,000 used to feel. A little tight, a little anxious, never quite enough. So you aim for $95,000, and the cycle repeats. That's why you see people making $120,000 complaining about money. It's not stupidity, it's not irresponsibility. It's that their spending adjusted to their income, their baseline shifted, and now $120,000 feels like $75,000 used to feel. Same tightness, same anxiety, same math in the checkout line. The number changes, the feeling doesn't. And here's what that costs you over an actual lifetime. Let's say you get that raise from $75,000 to $95,000. After taxes, that's $1,167 extra per month. Instead of upgrading your lifestyle, you kept living exactly like you were and put that entire $1,167 towards saving and investing. In 5 years, you'd have roughly $70,000 saved, not spent on a nicer apartment that feels normal now. Saved, working. In 10 years, you're looking at about $180,000. In 20 years, over $500,000. That's not speculation. That's just what happens when money compounds at modest returns. That's not a fantasy number. That's the math.
And that $500,000? That's the difference between lying awake at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling, running through the scenario where your company does layoffs or your car gives out or your rent goes up again, running those scenarios and not knowing if you'd survive them, and sleeping. Actually sleeping. Not because you're rich, not because everything is perfect, but because you have enough of a cushion that you know you can handle what comes next. That person, the one sleeping, isn't making more money than you. They might be making exactly what you make. The only difference is they stopped upgrading their life every time their income went up. So here's how people who actually build financial calm think about this. And I want to be really clear. I'm not talking about extreme frugalists or people who never spend money. I'm talking about people making $65,000, $75,000, $85,000, who aren't stressed about money. When they get a raise, the question that fires in their head isn't, "What can I afford now?" It's slower than that, more deliberate. It's something closer to, "How much of this can I make permanent before I get used to it?" They understand that the first instinct to upgrade, to reward yourself, to finally live the life that income is supposed to provide,
That instinct is real, and it's human, and it will eat every extra dollar you ever make if you just let it run. So they don't let it run unchecked. They make one deliberate choice. Maybe they upgrade one thing that genuinely matters to them. Better neighborhood because safety and commute actually affect their daily life, or a nicer mattress because sleep affects everything. One upgrade, intentional. Everything else stays the same. And the rest, the majority of that raise, they make it invisible before they can spend it. Automated into savings before they see it, before they adjust to having it, before it becomes just the new normal spending money. They're at Target on a Saturday and they're not doing the math about whether they can afford something. They know they can. They've built a buffer. They're doing a different kind of math entirely. Not, can I afford this, but do I actually want this, or am I just here and it's in front of me? That's a completely different relationship with money. And it's not about income, it's about the gap between what you make and what you spend, and keeping that gap alive no matter what your income does. Here's what actually changes when you think this way. You stop having that tight feeling in your chest when you check your bank account. Not because the number is huge, it might not be, but because you know it's stable. You know it's going somewhere. You know the trend is right. You walk into a salary negotiation differently, not desperate, not calculating whether you can afford to push back, because you know you have options. The worst they can say is no, and you'll figure it out. That knowledge changes how you hold your shoulders, changes how you talk, and it gets you better outcomes. You're standing in that grocery checkout line and you're not doing math. You're just standing there, thinking about whatever you want to think about. That sounds small. It is not small. That's what financial calm actually feels like in your body. It's the absence of that constant background calculation. Now, let me say the boring part clearly because it matters. None of this is exciting. Nobody wants to hear that the answer to feeling squeezed at $75,000 is not to upgrade your life when you start making $95,000. There's no viral version of that message. It doesn't get clicks. It's not a trick or a hack or a system. It's just the gap between income and spending is the only number that matters. And you have to protect that gap on purpose because everything in the economy is designed to close it. Every ad, every social comparison, every colleague with a nicer car, every apartment complex with granite countertops, all of it is pressure on that gap, pressure to close it, pressure to spend what you make. And most people do. Most people make more and spend more and wonder why nothing changes. So here's the thing about feeling squeezed at $75,000. It's not actually about $75,000. It's about the gap. The middle class isn't disappearing because people aren't earning enough. It's hollowing out because the cost of maintaining a middle-class lifestyle inflated faster than middle-class wages did, and then people inflated their own spending on top of that. You can't earn your way out of that if every raise just resets your baseline. The only way out is to stop letting your baseline reset. This feels slow because it is slow. It's not immediate. You're not going to feel rich next month. You might not feel rich in 2 years, but you will stop feeling like you're barely keeping up. You'll stop doing math and checkout lines. You'll stop waking up at 3 a.m. running the worst-case scenarios. That shift from barely keeping up to quietly building something, it doesn't feel like a big moment. There's no notification, no confetti. You just realize one day that you haven't been stressed about money in a while. The question isn't what you make. The question is what you keep. And what you keep is a choice you make every time your income goes up. Most people hand that choice back to the economy and let it decide for them. The ones who build something, they make the choice themselves.